What is truly amazing to me is the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, President Joe Biden's signature COVID-19 relief legislation, provides billions of dollars of debt relief to socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers. But the law's definition of socially disadvantaged includes explicit racial classifications. Farmers and ranchers must be black or African American, American Indian, Alaskan Native, Hispanic, Latino, or Asian American or Pacific Islander. Other farmers, white farmers, are not eligible. I've been waiting for this day for farmers to stand up and legally fight this. Adam Faust, he is a farmer suing the government for loan forgiveness. He and I think 4 other farmers join him. He's the representative today on the program, along with the deputy counsel for the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, Dan Lennington. Dan, how are you?
Good, Glenn. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. And Adam, how are you, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
You are a dairy farmer?
That's correct.
Can you tell me about your farm?
Yeah, I milk about 70 Holstein cows, farm about 200 acres of land to provide feed for those cows. We're just a small, traditional stall barn dairy farm.
Okay. And you've had a rough go at it. I know dairy farms have had a rough go of it for a long time now, but you've been having a rough go?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the last couple of years, the prices have been depressed, and then when COVID hit, took a real toll.
Okay. And you're white, so you're not disadvantaged.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So Dan, tell me about the case.
So, Glenn, we filed this in federal court last Thursday. We filed against the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The American Rescue Plan contains $4 billion of loan forgiveness, as you said. What that means is that if you're a farmer who has taken out a loan, you're going to get 100% of that loan forgiven, plus 20% is going to be deposited directly into your bank account. So it's not uncommon for a farmer to take out $1 million loan for property, for commodities, for land or operating expenses. So if you were a farmer who took out $1 million loan, say in December, you would get $1.2 million in return, and then you could also sell the crop that you were going to grow and make a profit off of that. Wow. This sounds like a great program, but guess what? You don't get it if you're white.
Right.
So that's the only requirement, is that you're not white and you get the money.
So, but it says disadvantaged, and Adam, I doubt Adam would call himself disadvantaged, but, being a double amputee might not be an advantage of getting up every morning and milking the cows in the stalls. He's not included.
No, it's exactly.
Yeah. So, Dan, who are the other farmers, and what does it mean if you win or lose?
The other farmers are from Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, Ohio. I've been on the phone with dozens and dozens of other farmers around the country who feel the same way. They don't really want any special treatment. What they want is to be treated equally.
Right.
So, I mean, this is really a sad chapter in our American history. Our country was founded on equality, right? We teach our kids that. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, right? So Abraham Lincoln, again, rededicated our country to equality. Martin Luther King dedicated our country to the colorblind society. All those ideas of equality are now being swept away. This is the opening kickoff in the wars of racism and anti-racism and critical race theory. This was the opening salvo. There is more to come from the Biden administration, and you're going to be hearing this song repeated over and over, that we need to do something about those white people, and we need to reverse the tables on them, which is what exactly is happening here.
So, Dan, if you win, it could have far-reaching consequences, and the same if you lose.
Right. So the U.S. Supreme Court has said in past cases that the government cannot use racism to cure racism. If they're going to use some discrimination against people, they have to have it for a very limited time. It has to be narrowly tailored. It has to be targeted to remedy past wrongs in very specific circumstances. You should think like school desegregation was a time where race was considered a factor, and the government rightly desegregated schools. But when the government now uses the excuse of systemic racism as their reason for doing this, the question is, where does it stop? What is the logical stopping point? If the government is allowed to use racism and use race discrimination to cure societal discrimination, what else can they do? And the Supreme Court has rejected that, and they've said, you can't do that. There's no logical stopping point. And so if the Supreme Court backs down from that principle, it's going to be a very long and winding road down this tunnel of critical race theory and systemic racism.
So, Dan, you're in Wisconsin, which amazes me. Wisconsin is a very progressive state. It's important to make sure that this goes to the right court. What are you looking at? Who are you bringing this to?
So we're bringing it to a federal judge in Wisconsin in the Green Bay Division of the Eastern District of Wisconsin. We're going to litigate it there. We might ask the judge to put the law on hold while it gets evaluated. We think that's reasonable. There's another lawsuit in Texas that's going on. I've heard rumors that there are other law firms who are going to be getting in the mix out west. So I say, as far as the litigation strategy, the more the merrier. We need to put the burden on the government to explain why race discrimination is important. And we need to have them put them to the test and have them explain themselves. We're the citizens. It's not our burden to prove that this law is bad. They have to prove this law is right.